I genuinely didn't find it as difficult as I thought it was going to, which was really interesting to me. But now that I look back on, I think we change it around to make it a little bit easier. And then the physical side of things, we kind of enjoy doing anyway. So maybe that wasn't the hardest thing in the world.
You know, I had a little bit of an accident playing football, got hit in the face, and
It wasn't a little bit of an accident. You got knocked out and you got concussed and you had your septum broken.
yeah, it was an accident though, and I was in hospital overnight, but it was funny.
And I think that's good because I think what we're trying to build here now is a really systematic approach to us being better.
Yes,
Because we have
there
that
you
for
go.
our
That's
business
probably
and all.
the most concise way to put everything.
but
we
it,
just
but it
said
really
there.
is though, because it's not like we do this for our businesses and we do this kind of intermittently in different areas. But me and you are trying to build a lifestyle, a friendship, a consistency, and a systematic approach to continually improve. To look back on 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, 10 years, because we understand why we're doing this now.
Welcome back to the podcast, Brian. We just said it.
Yeah, great. Hello.
This is the podcast. Hello. We've just been talking for the last fucking 2 hours, by the way. Just I never know when to start these things with you. Yeah, because you said this on the last podcast, which I listened to this morning. Hello, welcome back everybody to the podcast. Mr. Brian O'Loughlin, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, sir.
We are doing a follow-up to the... Actually, do you know what? There's only been one podcast between this and that because I've been way off the ball.
All right.
It was that little solo podcast I did after I got the bang. So there was only one podcast between that one and this one now. So
And how long ago was the podcast?
4 or 5 weeks, because we were 28 days in. We did that podcast. So let me tidy this up. Let me tidy this up a little bit. So we finished our 75 hard challenge.
Mm-hmm.
There was lots of trials and tribulations. Lots went on. We'll cover all that today. And what we're going to do is explain what we took from it. Were there any learnings? Any take homes, anything that we can pass along to the listener, anything that we're going to do going forward. We're going to break all that down, but inevitably we're going to go off into the weeds and start talking about mad stuff too. So that's what this episode is going to be. If you're interested, keep listening. What you just said to me there, you also mentioned on the last episode, do I believe that we can achieve the things that we think we can achieve without challenge?
All right.
And you asked me this on the last one as well. And we had a conversation about this. So go back and listen to that if you want the actual answer. But yeah, in the long and the short of it is, yeah, I don't now believe, having gone through challenges, that you can learn the lessons that we are learning without that challenge.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think this challenge that we did, 75 hard, for me, and maybe for you, has solidified that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, yeah, it's crazy, really, because I just think, as we were talking off podcast about...
That's such a podcaster line.
Yeah, it is, but it's true. What am I saying? I have to get me confused there. Yeah, because kind of the black and white, the good, the bad, the duality of life. You know what I mean? That we're always going to have ups and downs, I think. And I think Mark Manson said it about, like, you just end up getting new problems as you kind of get more successful or as you progress in life. And the idea is kind of choose what problems you want to deal with, but they're never going away.
New levels, new devils.
Yeah. So it's as though, like, I think that's a really cool thing when you're feeling good, because you're able to attack life and step forward into it.
Yeah.
With like a want almost. But then when you're feeling shitty, like we were,
you feel like you're under attack.
Yeah, or overwhelmed. I'm going to die here. You know, that's just really hard. But then when you get out of those tough times, which you will, you genuinely will, and that's why we did this challenge and we have conversations and stuff. Then I think when you feel good, what I'm going to try and do now, particularly after this challenge, is to embrace that in a positive way, if possible.
Okay, well, a very quick recap, because we spoke about this in the first episode that we did together. We did this challenge because I'm going to ask you to go first this time, because I went first last time. We did this challenge because the two of us were going through a bit of a slump, weren't feeling good, realised each other. We had a conversation about it. You suggested we do the 75 hard thing. I said absolutely not. Then we did it anyway. We modified it slightly and heavily in certain ways. But we stuck to it, and long and short of it is we finished 75 days. We didn't drop off at all, despite some various challenges, and we've come to the other side of it now, so we're going to do a recap of that. But before I go on, your experience of your 75 medium rare that we decided to call it.
The experience was, number one, well, I completed it, so which is brilliant.
Yeah. Well done, by the way. Shake your hand. Yeah, don't we shook hands on it?
Because at the time when we were doing it, you know, I didn't know whether I would or not. So that was number one. Number two, I genuinely didn't find it as difficult as I thought it was going to, which was really interesting to me. But now that I look back on, I think, you know, we change it around to make it a little bit easier. And then the physical side of things, we kind of enjoy doing anyway. So maybe that wasn't the hardest thing in the world. And then the third thing I learned was, we talked about this as well off podcast, was the capacity to do more. because during the challenge,
You fucking robbed that from me.
oh, did I? Yeah.
That was going to be part of my own.
Wait, but you can expand on it. But during the challenge, though, I felt I could do more, and I was doing what I had to do and felt good, but just knew I was not coasting, but I knew I had more, which was crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So I robbed yours, but you go ahead.
That's okay. No, and like, what was the 75 days like for you? Like, how did it progress from day 1 to day 75?
Yeah, well, like
Setbacks?
yeah,
issues?
well, so when we did this podcast the first time, I think we were on day 28.
Yes.
Right in saying that? When we did that, mentally, I still wasn't feeling right.
Mm.
But after our talk, after that podcast episode, I felt much better. And I think that was really the start of my transition of the kind of mindset shift. It was really slow. But like, what really helped me just through the challenge, if you're ever going to do it, is and why I think it worked well with me and you, was I was texting you, you were texting me, you were keeping me accountable. It made me go out and do my run and do my second session, whatever. And that just helped me to get the thing done. And say from roughly day 28, 29, 30, that kind of onwards, I was like, yeah, no, I'm beginning to enjoy this process. Like I know I'm feeling a bit better, although it's not from 0 to 100 perfect. I just knew it was working. I knew that I was waking up with more energy. I could see the reason why I was doing it, and that if we keep on this process, it's going to be a good thing. I didn't break my toe, but I thought I broke my toe. I hurt my toe. I ballooned up playing football one Tuesday. And so for the last, I don't know, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks maybe of the challenge for me, I still did everything, but I cut back on my running. I was going for more walks. Even in some cases, I couldn't go for walks some days. I had to do different kind of sessions. So I felt like I really finished it. And that was kind of coasting more so is what I would have said. So that was the only challenge I'd say that I had that kind of was stopping me. But the challenge made me continue on that path, keep doing the things that I had to do and still getting the benefit from it. But for me, that was the only real hardship that I had that kind of stopped me, but it didn't stop me. I got through it. And coming out on the other end now, just having this episode, like the podcast now in comparison to the first one, physically in a better shape, mentally in a better shape, and definitely ready to continue on this path of some degree. Now, obviously the 75 hard path, but this way of training, thinking, living, taking action.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, what about you then? Because you had a harder challenge and setback than me, but before your setback, what did you think the last episode? Where were we at mentally?
Yeah, again, I listened to today's. I have it fresh in my head, and I remember saying to you that it was definitely felt different, but not better. That's what I said in the last episode, different but not better, and that's what I would echo now again, even at the end of the challenge. And this obviously was a bit of a drama there in the middle, but yeah, I don't know what I was expecting at the start. I said halfway through at day 28, whatever it was, not halfway, that I wasn't expecting miracles. I had no massive expectations, but I was definitely noticing a shift. And like that capacity thing you said there, it wasn't necessarily that I was able to do more, but I was recognizing that I had the ability or the capacity to do more. So the 2 workouts today at the start, I was like, I don't think I can do that. And then when we were halfway through, I was like, well, obviously I can do it because I've just done it. And it hasn't really upset my life too much at all. I haven't had to give up one of my kids or stop doing anything really that I wanted, that I was doing beforehand. So that made me realize, I actually have the ability and capacity to do a lot more than I'm actually doing at the moment. Not that I have to do more, but I have the capacity, so I don't have to feel so overwhelmed if I need to add more bits into my life and stuff like that.
But so. I did feel that I kind of wasn't doing that much though then to a certain
yeah, so up until day 28 I felt both of us like I was laughing because I remember a Thursday morning, it was like 3 o'clock and I got a text from you like, where the fuck are you, what's happened, is everything okay, what's going on? And I just hadn't texted you because I was busy or something like that. That wasn't the day.
I think that was the day.
Was that the day? Yeah, it was the day. But I was laughing because like, we must text each other a lot if like 5 hours went by in a day.
But no, it was really weird. Like I was like, I haven't heard from this lad. I was like, there's something going on. And I was like, I might just leave him. Maybe he's busy at work or something like that.
It was less than 12 hours. By the way,
yeah, but there was something. It was weird because for the previous, whatever, 30, 40, 50 days, we were in constant contact every 3-4 hours.
Yeah. So to echo what you said there about that accountability for me was huge because I could have seen myself if I'd started this. Now, I don't have nothing to base this on, but I could see myself after 7 or 8 days, or the first time I got a little bit inconvenient or hard, or that wedding I went to in Italy, kind of going, do you know what, fuck this. I've done 2 weeks. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You're a bit of an animal. Yeah, 2 weeks. I could have seen, without the accountability, I could see myself potentially having done that. Now, again, I didn't. So, but the accountability was huge for me for that. So all the way up until that day, and if you've listened to the last podcast, you know I had a little bit of an accident playing football, got hit in the face, and
it wasn't a little bit of an accident. You got knocked out and you got concussed and you had your septum broken.
Yeah, it was an accident though, and I was in hospital overnight. But it was funny because the next day, I got on to you and I told you what happened. And my first message, I remember listening to it, as my first message was, look, you continue on. Obviously, I think I failed this now because I've missed a session or something like that. And then about an hour later, I was thinking about this. I was like, hold on, I got everything done yesterday. I went to A&E at night time, so I played the game, so I had my second session technically done. I played 45 minutes of football. I got on my water in before the game. I'd done my reading. I was like, I actually haven't missed anything yet. So the next day when I got out of hospital, I was like, oh, let's see what I can do here. And to be fair, I was careful and I completely softened down the training because I couldn't train. Like I was all over the place with the concussion. But walk, mobility sessions, and whatever I could do, I did. So I actually didn't miss anything. But that last maybe 3 weeks, was it 3 weeks bed left?
Yeah, three and a half weeks. Yeah,
about 3.5 weeks. It wasn't the same as the first. However many.
But this is what I was saying to you again off podcast, because you were on a roll though, like physically, mentally, you were in a cracking position before that accident.
Yeah, I was doing pretty well.
And I think you would have had a different experience come the end of that 75 hard challenge had it been the way. But I think to go back then, just what this kind of lesson is though, such is life.
Such is life.
Shit happens.
Shit happens.
And the difference is, well, my not broken toe, but swollen toe, and your bang, proper actual injury rather than mine. I don't think I would have done what I did, continued on without the challenge.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have. So I just think it's just interesting in 75 days that shit did happen. And I think it's a good metaphor for life.
Yeah, because again, it's that capacity. Stuff happened that would usually derail you. And now you realize how much that doesn't need to derail you. You have the ability to do way, way more and handle that stuff. And I think a lot of the time, I won't speak for other people, get overwhelmed or upset because something happens and I think, oh, what am I going to do now? Oh, I can't do this. And now I've realized actually there's a lot more I can actually do this, and probably a lot more. There's probably loads of stuff I can do now, and then something would happen and you can just keep doing what you were doing. I
was interested as well though, as you're saying that, because the path was so clear for us.
Yeah.
Do your 2 sessions,
very well defined.
Read your book, follow a nutrition program,
Drink
get your
water,
4 liters of water, take a picture. Like it was just like, all right, bang, 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 bang. And you just do it. So it was like, well, what have I done? What haven't I done? Let's get it done and let's just keep moving on. And it's just interesting kind of having that plan. But it goes back to that accountability, me and you. Because again, if you listen to the first podcast, we weren't doing this for the physical aspect. It was all for the mental mindset shift. If you're both in a shitty place and wanted to use this as an avenue to come out of it, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's a really interesting point. So lessons, right? So that was what happened. We got through the 75 days. We both completed it. We didn't drop anything. Even with that accident and your injury, we actually didn't drop anything. Got to the end, did the 75 days. There was no big, like, I think with you, like, I was like, yeah, we're finished in 2 days. And you're like, oh.
But interesting, look, remember I sent you the picture? I sent you my picture for 21 days. I was in great nick, remember?
Yeah.
I started to slack off the last kind of 4, 5, 6 weeks of my protein and stuff. Like, so I was still doing the nutritional aspect, but wasn't living up to the standard that I had previously.
Yeah.
Now I used the injury as an excuse.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, at least I had something like 75 hard to keep going. Yeah. Because I wonder how much I would have fallen off. Yeah, kind of from there. But that's what annoyed me about that kind of capacity thing, which you may talk about now, is it?
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, like, overall takeaway from the 75 days.
Yeah. So my overall takeaway, like, you mentioned the capacity thing. For that first whatever amount of time, like say whatever that first 40 days, I genuinely got to a stage where I was like, I'm not doing much here.
Yeah.
I can do more.
Yeah.
And it was like, you had to tell me that from day one, but like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is really difficult. Just get through the yoke. But I realized like I had so much more I could be doing. And then the likes of that, I lowered my standards, even though I was still doing the stuff. So I just knew, I was like, I've so much more here, which is really interesting because I think then as you progress and follow and do the things that you know you should do, it's not that you complete it, you get there and you go, oh yeah, I kind of made it, I can't do much more. There's always more.
Yeah.
There's always more. So it's like, holy shit, actually, what could I achieve or what could I do? And that's what I want to use the 75 hard challenge as the foundation for me and you to step forward into a new way of living and to kind of take an action.
Yeah.
That's my biggest takeaway from this, is that it was a hard challenge I was afraid to do. I ended up taking the action, but realizing, hold on, mate, you're doing it and you've so much more to offer. So let's continue on this path.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt a little bit underwhelmed getting to the end of it. And you're telling me to have a little bit of empathy for myself because I got a bang on the head. And to be fair, for 2 weeks, I was all over the place.
You're still a bit hard though. You're not fully recovered.
No,
you got badly concussed.
Yeah, and like my mood really suffered, I think, because I was even saying that like the last couple of days, for no discernible reason, my mood's been down again. But I've started back playing football recently and training hard again and putting a bit more pressure on myself, and I can feel my my mood responding negatively to that pressure. And the only thing I can think of is I must still be struggling, because for 2 weeks, I really wasn't right. After about a week after the accident, I started to not feel right, and I was a bit confused and headaches and struggling to focus. My mood was really low, and there was, as I said, there was no particular reason, so I can only link it to the bang in the head. So coming to the end, I was a bit underwhelmed, and like you, felt like I throttled down, but I had throttled down because I wasn't able to train as hard. So it was kind of all I still did everything, but it wasn't. I was on an upward trajectory before I got the bang, feeling great, training well, moving well, playing great football, doing all the bits. And then all of a sudden it was like cut, and I could walk and do my ability.
I think you would have been an absolute animal come the end. That 75, you would have been, because you were genuinely, you were ahead of me physically and mentally, and I was still on a great track. So it's not that I wasn't on a good track, but you were just, you could tell with your mindset, the conversations that we were having physically, you could see it on the pitch. Like, you were a different animal, and you were. So if you had kept going on that path for them other 3.5, 4 weeks, fuck me pink, God knows where you would have been. But again, if you kind of go back to the metaphor of life, shit happens.
Shit happens, yeah.
So it's like, well, whatever. You continued on the path, you still get the benefit. And although it may have been underwhelming, there's plenty of benefits that you got to take in and continue on.
So I remember getting to the end. I remember having a conversation with you up in your studio then about what's next, and getting very excited about what's next, because I was looking at what we had done, and I was looking at the setback, and I was like, right, there's potential, there's capacity here. Now we can not do 75 hard, but take the lessons that we learned from it to build a better life. What does that look like to me? Physically, okay, more discipline with the training, more consistency, because I've just proven I can do 2 a day. Now, can I do 1 a day? Can I do 6 and 7 days? But those 6 sessions just have such intent and intensity about the sessions, because now I'm not doing it just because I have to do 2 sessions. Now I'm doing it because I want to feel better or move better, or be stronger, or whatever, be in better physical condition. So I was really excited about that. I was like, wait, we've learned a skill here. We've learned a skill of discipline, more discipline. How do we leverage that skill for ourselves? That's what I'm always really interested in. If someone teaches me something, I'm not great at doing it, but I'm really excited about the prospect of, you've given me something here that I can use to make me better. That's fucking exciting. Now, doing it is a completely different ballgame.
Yeah.
But getting to the end, I was excited about that, but underwhelmed by the previous 3 or 4 weeks. But we've acknowledged that maybe that was to do with me getting a bang in the head. And then the following couple of weeks happened.
After the challenge.
So we said, right, we'll not take a week off, but we'll just trottle back here just for a week or so. And the following Monday, we'll put a plan together. We'll design it, like really design this. It's not going to be 75 hard. We'll try it for 60 days, but we're not going to put a number on this, and we're going to move forward doing what we want to do now. We'll put a goal or an aim to what we're trying to achieve with this now, as opposed to just, we're doing this for the discipline of it. And over the last 3 weeks, kind of haven't done that really.
Yeah.
Well, you've been better than me.
I've been better, but still not. Like, I was excited like you to do it. We took the kind of week off, and then we were very meh.
Yeah.
I've been meh for kind of 2 weeks, and only the last week I'm like, yeah. So I've done a little bit. Say about a week and a half I was meh, and a week and a half now I'm building back up. So I'm feeling pretty good now, stepping forth into it.
Yeah.
But certainly not like I thought I would do. Are you? But I think again it's different for you, man, with the injury. You're still concussed. You're still not right, and that's what I mean about having some empathy for yourself. But for me, it's like, no, fuck you. I'm an idiot. Like.
So what happened?
Well, it's like anything, I suppose. Like doing a huge challenge like that, it does require like a lot of discipline, a lot of effort, a lot of concentration and focus. When you switch off for that week, just to go back on again, it's a hell of a lot harder. Also, there wasn't any, like you said, hugely defined thing we were going to do. We did have the more clear path of what we wanted to do, but the 75 hard challenge was, here we are right now, 75 days, off we go. So there was kind of that as well. Yeah, I don't know what else really. I mean, like, what else?
That's a good point though, because and I was going to say this earlier on. I listened to, again, I know we bring Peterson up a lot, but it's really powerful stuff. I listened to Peterson talk once about men specifically. So forgive me, ladies, for a second here, but he was speaking specifically about men, and that we're like workhorses. So if you give us a defined goal, it doesn't matter what it is, like bury or dig through that mountain with your bare hands.
Yeah,
we're happy. Because we know what the goal is. We might be achieving the goal, but we know this is the goal.
Okay.
And I feel like today there's so many different things you're supposed to be: tall, good looking, rich, handsome, nice car, nice job, successful. All this, you're supposed to be all these different things. There's no real defined goal. Or you're supposed to be a great block layer or a great financial planner or and that's not really aligned with your idea of what you're supposed to be. So when Peterson, and this is in Peterson's words, not mine, he explained a really strong link between happiness for men and a really defined goal. And it doesn't matter what it is, because you tell the horse, you put the plow on the back of the horse and it's really happy pulling that plow. if it doesn't know what the job is, it's not very happy. Same with a dog. If a dog not understand its place, or especially a working dog, it wants to be working. We have a very clear defined purpose here. With 75 hard, not that it was easy, but it was simple.
Yeah.
His 5-6 things he would do every single day. So it wasn't easy. It was hard, but it was simple. And we were like, I think that maybe that's why it felt.
Well, that's interesting. I think you're right. I didn't even think about that until you said it right there. But we've no real defined purpose of the next challenge.
We left it too open-ended.
Yeah.
And when we were getting excited, we were still in 75 hard.
Yeah.
And we were like, this is just going to translate directly over. We'll just do another 60 days, but now we'll decide what we do. And then we finish. And I remember even the two of us had slightly different things on our list as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, that's fine. We'll keep each other accountable. And then literally 3 days in, I myself, because I was back training with football as well. I was like, I'm back playing football and stuff. I was like, it was very easy for me to not do a workout today because I got football tomorrow. This can be my day off out of the 7 days.
Well, then maybe what me and you have to do after this podcast is define what that next thing is.
Yeah.
And you're right, though, maybe that it shouldn't be too different. We have to define exactly what we're doing. You can do something extra, I can do something extra. But what are we doing together, the same thing, and it's over a space of 60 days, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I do believe you can do it individually. We're lucky that we can probably, a lot of our things are going to be aligned in the same anyway, but I do think you can do it individually, but you need to really define it.
Yeah.
And but you talk about this all the time as well. Like when we first met, you were talking about clarity. You need to know where you're going and you need to be moving in that direction. That's really all that matters. And a lot of people talk about this. Hormozy talks about it. Peterson talks about it. Like you need to define where you're going because otherwise then you're just floating in free space. And you can put all this energy in, but you might spin in circles or float in space.
Well, go back to what you said though. 75 hard challenge was so simple. It really was. Yeah. It was so defined of what we're doing every single day. And the idea was that just take action on that or don't. So I think you're right. You know, and it is like it's massive for me in terms of business or anything that I'm doing, like getting organized and just being really clear of what you're doing. The difference for me, I suppose, when we were starting this challenge was that I wasn't in the headspace to make it clear, if that makes sense. So that's where to make my life clear.
Yeah.
I didn't have the vision or have the wherewithal, or have the capacity to sit down and be like, okay, where am I struggling? Where should I go? So this was like, okay, look, I'll take all that out of you and just focus on this.
Yeah.
And that's why I've able to get a little bit clearer going, okay, because that was, like I said, that purpose. And that gave me real purpose to focus on. I was able to get better, be disciplined, and like I said, that transferred then to my relationships, my business, other kind of avenues. So yeah, that's mad. And I think this is the way I know I certainly want to live. You know what I mean? Like you're not just doing it in terms of your training to look a certain way, whatever. Like you're doing these hard things because you know there's just growth on the other side, and it's just so beneficial for every single aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And every single day you won't want to do it, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. And you do know it's worth doing. So just push through that resistance. But there wasn't much resistance for us because we had that clear goal. We had the accountability. Our relationship, me and you have got closer over the last 75 days.
Yeah.
There's no two. We weren't texting every 4 hours before this challenge. But you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, it's like, where's Dan? He hasn't texted me in a while. And, like even my missus, I kept talking about you all the time. He's like, will you shut up about Dan? I was like, I will, but he hasn't texted you back yet. But you know what I mean? So like that's, again, the difference of me and you. Like if our relationship is closer and this is the way we live, all of a sudden, again, what else would we do kind of thing?
Yeah.
This is just who we are and what we do. And that's what we wanted from this though.
Yeah. 100%. You're redefining what this is, what your life is.
Yeah.
You get to redefine that. But I think, overwhelm is a word I keep coming back to all the time. Like say, and I'm very, very aware because we spoke about business a lot in the last episode, but overwhelm in business or in life is a big problem. It's that spinning in space I spoke about before. We can have loads of energy and loads of good intentions, but if you don't know where you're pointing it at, it's very overwhelming because there's a million options. Like, which one do you pick?
Well, can I just give you that something there? Because you're saying that's so interesting because we have a new platform that we're building with clients and they're having the same issues that we see with our individual clients. And the same thing, I haven't got enough time. And you said it there, but there's so many options. So what's this?
Too many options.
Too many options. So what did 75 Hard do for us? We said no to everything else.
Yeah.
Why? Because I couldn't go and get pissed. I couldn't have this thing. I have to go to sleep because I'm doing all this. So that's what the first thing that we would say with clients always is you say no.
Yeah.
But that's what I think 75 Hard gave us. It was so easy to say no to this thing. Why? Because we're doing this. So if I say yes to it, I can't do this. So again, just being clear of where you're going allowed us to say no to things that wouldn't serve us for us to get there. I just had that realization there.
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant because rather than you having to say no, you're just going to say no because you're going this way. And if you say yes to this, well, you're off trajectory, you're going the wrong way. But then it is just defining that thing is really difficult. But that's why, if you're listening to this now, because people got onto you and me and they started 75 Hard because we were doing
it was actually mad how many people came up to me and you
Yeah.
about this 75 hard thing.
Well, I think though is because we were struggling, and maybe I think that was more what it was.
I actually spoke to Jill about this last week. I think, and again, I'm only speaking because the vast majority of my friends are male. I live in a very male-dominated. I play football on a male football team. Most of my friends are male. So a lot of men came up to me who were friends or people I knew, and I think that they were attracted. Okay, fine, maybe they related to the not feeling good part, but they were attracted to this idea of the structure and the accountability, just like we've been speaking about
right.
there. They were like, oh, here's a way to feel better. Someone will show me. It's the same reason. Why do we want to, like, I speak a lot about outsourcing your angst and all these different groups in a negative context, but we all want to be part of something. The people who are going to show us the way. We want a mentor. We want a guide. Someone to show us through this fucking chaos. Like, why is Peterson so popular with young men? Because he's saying things and they're like, oh, why is like Goggins and all these guys who are doing fucking mental things? Why are they so
They're
popular?
clearing the path for
Because
you.
they're super clear. Now, you might not have to agree with exactly what they do, but there's okay, I will do this thing now. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a positive or a negative. It can be both, because if you just focus on one ideology, that's like if you just do everything Jordan Peterson says or live your life, like I wouldn't live my life the way David Goggins does.
Yeah.
He obviously is running from some sort of demons as well, but he's figured his way of doing things. But there's bits you can take from all of these. But it's really, really attractive when someone says, here is the way. So I found it interesting when people are like, oh my God, that sounds amazing what you're doing. And I was like, it's fucking awful. He wants to work out twice a day and drink 4 liters of water. It's like, that sounds awful. It doesn't sound great. But they were like, oh, maybe I'll try something like this. A friend of mine reached out to me there recently and said he's doing his own version of it now. And I was like, that's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. Like, because he's taken some value from something that I took value from, which wasn't mine. You showed it to me and it wasn't your idea. You got it from somewhere else. But we made it our own. He was able to make it his own. But it's that structure. It's that guide. It's okay, this mightn't be the exact thing I need right now, but it's a thing. And that might help me get clearer on my thing. And for me, that's definitely my biggest takeaway from that was I have the capacity to do all this kind of stuff, but it was so defined that if I can get that defined in other elements of my life, if I can get really clear about the things that I want, it helps with all that overwhelm. And I know I can do it, but getting clear on it is a problem.
Yeah.
So relationships, business, personal development. If you get clear on what it is that you want, as we said, that was our problem in the last 3 weeks. We haven't been super clear about what the outcome is here or the defined boundaries of it. So like that's a huge takeaway there. But so many men were attracted to that idea. That's what they were saying to me. Like, oh man, that's cool. I'd love to do something like that. I was like, why would you love to do something? It doesn't sound good, but the idea of having this. Why do people love programs? They love programs. I love programs because it's.
You mean workout programs?
Any sort of program.
Okay.
Like why are 3-step program?
Okay.
All these programs. Why are they so popular? Because here's the way.
Here's the process.
Here's the process. And most people don't have a problem working hard when they know what they're working hard on. And if they have a clearly defined goal.
But I agree with all that. I think that's interesting because like we were struggling and we weren't necessarily trying to, although we were obviously hoping it would help us with our mindset, but it wasn't like working actively on our personal development, or it was just something.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yeah.
So, and that thing is able to go across everywhere. And it's crazy just the impact that something so simple, can actually have on every single aspect of your life. But what I think is interesting now for me and you is, because I think this is life as well, it's easy to do it once or to do this thing.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do next, or what's going to come, or how consistent can you be to continue on a path like this? And I don't know what we can do. I don't know if I can do it or keep on this path, but I want to.
Yeah.
So we have to define that then, because it's not good enough the last 3 weeks.
No, it's not. And here's the kicker for me, I think, as I'm listening to you speak there. So we can take what we learned from 75 Hard, and then we both know Atomic Habits. We have all these different resources that we consume and don't necessarily apply. But now we can take, okay, we know we can do something like this and develop this discipline, and that the structure of it is really important for us. We also understand how habit formation works. So now what we can do is use the lessons we've learned from James Clear and apply them with the lessons that we've learned from 75 Hard. And it doesn't have to be the extreme version of either one of those things, and we can slowly start to implement that thing in our life and make adjustments as we go, as opposed to, because what I tend to do is, oh, here's this new thing, right? I'm all in on this thing. And inevitably it's gone after 3 or 4 weeks because you can't sustain it. And that's, in my experience, a huge amount of people as well think your January splurges on gyms and stuff like that. Same kind of thing. So if we're thinking forever now, we're not thinking 75 days, that's too open-ended.
Yeah.
So how about we think in today, tomorrow, this week, right? And I mean, again, you do this in other contexts. What are the 3 things you're going to achieve this week? But now for me, it's even more, having gone through, because we talked about this at the start, having gone through this challenge, we now feel that. We've now experienced that with the structure, we can have success. We didn't necessarily feel anything amazing happening overnight, and yet we were getting into great shape and feeling great, and things were changing in the space of 40 days. So now we know, now we've verified for ourselves in our own heads. It's not something that we read, we actually did it. So now, okay, let's take the learnings. We need structure. We need guidelines. We need accountability. Take those and apply them to the other things that we know. Okay, how do you build habits? We can't do 2 workouts a day, every single day for the rest of our lives.
But we could.
We could potentially do
I don't mean do it for the rest of your life, but we could do another 75 hard.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just saying no. So why are we saying, I'm just asking right now, why are we saying no to that?
Because there's no... Because I'll give you my answer. I can't answer for you. I can't answer.
Well, give me your answer.
My answer is because I don't see the point in doing another 75 hard because I'm going to learn the same lessons. I want an outcome now. So because I wasn't able to, as soon as we stopped it, I wasn't able to maintain the results.
Okay.
So I don't think it's practical to do 2 workouts a day for the rest of my life. I don't think I could sustain that for the rest of my life.
I'm not saying for the rest of your life. I'm saying for 75 days.
Do you want to do another 75 days?
I'm literally putting it out there. I'm not saying we should or we shouldn't. I'm asking the question, why don't we just go again? Because the thing is, that's doubly hard of what we just did. And I think we'll have more lessons in the second one.
I don't know if we will. I think we can apply the routine of 75 hard to something. And this is what I was trying to do, which we didn't do properly. We didn't define the outcome. So we can change what it is. We can do 75 days of whatever the fuck it is we decide to do, but change what it is because...
Well, I agree with all this. But so I think what we have to define then is we have to define, because I think it was different to 75 hard, but too similar to 75 hard. Our next 60 days.
Yeah.
It was a little bit, but it was very, so I think we have to define a clear outcome and goal come the end. Because the goal for 75 hard was to complete 75 days.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good enough for us now, I'm just thinking right here, to complete the next 60 days. What are we looking to achieve at the end of that 60 days? Because I don't know. Do you know?
Yeah.
What is it?
No.
I
thought I
know.
did actually until you asked me that question.
I honestly don't know.
Well, I do. I want to start. Okay. I want to leverage what we've learned about everything we just spoke about, discipline, structure. I want to leverage that to build a lifelong, a lifestyle. I want to build a lifestyle. I don't have a really defined lifestyle at the moment, but I have lots of knowledge and information that I don't apply to build a really, really powerful lifestyle. If I look at...
Could we do 75 softish from
Stop doing this on mic because we're accountable.
75 softish on the 1st of July, we go 75 days and the difference only will be 1 workout a day as opposed to 2. I don't think we have to change too much. Now, we can go stricter on the nutrition. We can go stricter on potentially the reading. We can go stricter on... There's something else you can go stricter on, is there? No.
8 liters of water.
No, even the training, it could be stricter, so more programmed. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't think...
Well, this is what we said.
Much.
This is the point. This is what I'm trying to say to you. So, okay, let me clarify here because this sounds all a bit messy to anyone who's listening here because we're just rambling here.
Yeah.
So what we said was, because we both said this, we had this conversation before. I think we've let it slide a little bit.
Yeah.
So we were going to do a workout a day. We were going to do 6 workouts a week. And we were going to give ourselves a rest day, but the rest day you had to move. So it had to be a walk or a mobility session. So there was no off days. Your rest day was a movement day and 6 training days. So the training days were going to be really well defined. And we went granular on this. I was going to do 2 football sessions and a game.
Yeah.
And when I didn't have any one of those 3, I was going to do a running session. And on every other day I was going to do a resistance
there's no
session.
point in going through this right now, but we could do that for 75 days.
Yeah, okay. Well, 60 days, but we can do it for 75. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, that's
But the
true.
point is, that's something I could sustain for the rest of my life.
Yeah, but I think the idea with the next part is not to try and sustain for the rest of life. It's to go to another level. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But like, if we go to another level, I don't want to come back down off that level.
No, but that's fine. But I don't think it's
We
necessary.
were always coming back down off 2 workouts a day. Always.
Yes, but remember, I don't think that we didn't do that for the workouts. We did that for the mindset shift, which we've got.
Yes.
So I think what we're just doing now is trying to find the next set level of whatever it is. Because what is it? Is it the physical side of things or the mental side of things that we're trying to improve again?
Okay, so we've learned some mental lessons that I want to bring into my everyday life.
Yeah.
So I said before 75 hard, I had no problem with training. I had a problem with going training. I had no problem doing the actual sessions with physical training on my life. So the sessions were fine. But walking from my kitchen to my garage to do the session was the problem. I found excuses. So now I've realized, okay, here's how you do that. You build a structure that you're accountable to. So that's the lesson I'm taking. And now we're going to do one workout a day. But the point of that workout now for me is I want to perform better for my sport and I want to feel better in my body.
So it sounds like more of a physical challenge.
So now it's still going to be a discipline challenge to get it done, but now there's a very clear outcome for me.
Okay.
And I want that for the rest of my life. So I know if I continue on my current trajectory that when I get to 50, I'm not going to be in as good a shape as I could be. I'm not going to feel as good. So I want to correct that course now with some small corrections, so that when I am 50, 55, 60, I'm still in good physical shape and I'm enjoying my life. That's what I want to do. And in order to do that, I know I need to have resistance training in there that's manageable, that I can also play football at the moment, so I can't be squatting heavy 7 times a week because I'm going to be out on the pitch and stuff like that. So we're defining the outcome for that. Like you have a very specific goal with your rings and stuff.
Yeah.
So we build our training around our specific goals, but the discipline is 6 sessions a week and a movement session. So to see what I'm trying to get at here.
I get all this. I suppose. So forget all this, because this podcast is a terrible podcast. Keep talking about what we're going to do.
Yeah, fair.
What my question to you is then, because you said that you were a bit underwhelmed come the end of the 75 challenge.
Yeah.
I think that I'm in a better headspace or something with the challenge than you are. Or am I wrong in saying that? Based off the 75 hard challenge. Like you were underwhelmed come the end of it. So have you taken what you wanted from it? Is what I'm trying to say.
No, but I got derailed. So but I'm not giving out about that. It is what it is. Like,
okay.
So no, I didn't take what I wanted from it. But what did I want from it? I don't know what the fuck am I. Okay, let me ask you this then. The day that we were sitting here before we started it, how do you feel compared to that?
I feel like a different person.
Yeah, me too. So like,
I genuinely felt, but the thing is with feeling a different person, I can't tell you when that happened. I can't say this moment or this big realization. It was a process.
Yeah.
But I remember doing the podcast last time and mentally not being great.
Yeah.
As opposed to now, I do feel much, much better because of that process. So I've definitely got from it what I wanted. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't know what I wanted and I benefited. So on a whole, I'm up.
Yeah.
On average, I'm up like.
Yeah. I think it's the hardest thing now because, like I said, it's easy to do a challenge or do it once or do whatever. What's going to be really important for us now is this next 60 days, grand defining it, but actually taking action on it and seeing where we are in 2-3 months' time.
Yeah.
Because it's only going to get harder. And I think that's what another realization I've kind of found through this thing as well. Like new levels, new devils. You can't, like I said, we could do 75 hard again. I think we could get different lessons, but I would kind of agree with you as well. It's going to be a similar process. So it has to be a little bit tougher, a little bit different, a bit more defined.
Yeah. Okay, well then, if you ask me that question again at the end of this 60 days, I'm telling you now what I want to experience at the end of the 60 days. I want to obviously have all the physical benefits, feel better, have trained and gained the
muscle and drop body fat and
all that kind of stuff. And I also want to have built something that at least part of it is sustainable for the rest of my life. I want to have been able to design my lifestyle in a way that I can do for the rest of my life. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to build something that I can sustain. Like what's 75 days or 60 days? It's nothing in the grand scheme of things. I want to look back over the 60 days and go, okay, that's definitely something it was difficult. I don't have to do all of that, but I can definitely maintain the vast majority of that for the rest of my life. Now what can I add to that? Because I've established the habits.
Well, it's interesting saying that, but I think what's interesting is you talk about what you're trying to build. Like me and you, our relationship has got closer.
Yeah.
Like we're better friends for having gone through that challenge.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to note because like I wouldn't mind hanging around with you for 5 or 10 years. I think you're a sound lad, like, and keep developing this friendship. But like, again, we're doing this as much again for that kind of physical or the habits and all that, but even just develop our friendship and develop our relationship and turn our vision and what we can achieve and all the kind of crack as well.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's even more important to, again, keep redefining what we're doing and keep putting ourselves under quote unquote pressure.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, bigger picture. If we step back and look at this, because we're going really granular on this at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe this doesn't sound great to people.
No, I think it does. I think it's a terrible podcast.
Whatever. Fuck it. Listen, if you're still listening, fair play to you. But if you step back from this, if we achieve 75 hard, everything improves around you. Your relationships are better. Your business is better in general. Now,
your body's better.
your
You're
body's
feeling
better, you're feeling better, you're more able to apply those lessons to other areas of your life. And I know, again, I harped on about business the last time. It's a big part of our lives at the moment is building these businesses. So at the end of the 60 days, again, what I will be looking for is step back and see, okay, well, maybe I didn't exactly get the exact physical benefit I wanted out of this thing, but I should be able to step back and go, but on aggregate, everything really improved over the last while. Better relationship with my partner, with my family, more energy. I'm able to help, because you said that's a great metric of how good you're feeling or where you are. If you're able to help others and serve others, you're generally in a good place yourself. So for me, that'll be a big thing that we kind of glossed over the last 30 or 40 minutes, however long we're talking there. On aggregate, everything is better because you're better. So even if it doesn't go perfectly, you're like, oh, geez, I didn't really get what I wanted out of that, or I fucking didn't drop the body fat I wanted, or whatever it was. When you step back, you go, oh, but over the last 60 days, things just kind of improved all around me. So I think that's a really important thing to mention. When you do something like this, it translates to so many other parts of your life.
And I think that's good, because I think what we're trying to build here now is a really systematic approach to us being better.
Yes.
Because we have that for our business.
That's probably the most concise way to put everything.
But it really is, though, because it's not like we do this for our businesses and we do this kind of intermittently in different areas. But me and you are trying to build a lifestyle, a friendship, a consistency, and a systematic approach to continually improve, to look back on 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, 10 years, because we understand why we're doing this now.
Yes.
We understand what we were trying to achieve. But I think even now, 75 days later or 90 days later, whatever it is, it's like, this is it. This is what we're trying to do.
Did anybody ask you before or during you were doing it, why the hell are you doing this?
Yeah, my missus.
What was your answer?
I don't remember. Like, I was like, well, her thing was always like, she's always like, you're always looking for hardship. Like, it's always like you have to sleep on the floor and do all that. It's like, well, that's why. Because, like, I have to do the things I don't want to do. It's going to make me appreciate what I do have, and then ultimately allow me to operate at a better level.
So without the fancy answer that you give people, like, what do you feel when she says that and you're like, you're going to give your answer, what do you feel inside you?
Of why I'm doing it?
Yeah. Why do you do these things?
Because I know there's more. I know I have more to offer.
But, okay.
Honestly, I just have I know what I'm doing right now is nowhere near the capacity that I have. I last time I was so confused, but I knew I wasn't operating at anywhere near a level that I could do.
Yeah.
Even now, as I'm feeling better, I'm not operating anywhere near a level. I said to you off podcast again, I'm operating at 60% of my capacity.
Yeah.
I've no idea where I get that number from, but I just know there's loads of things I could be doing better. And I think something like this makes me live a better lifestyle, do things on the days I don't want to do it. So that can hopefully increase that capacity, that percentage up and up and up and up. Yeah. That's honestly why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Why would you do it?
No, because Jill asked me the exact same thing at the start. She's like, there's so much going on. And she has some really good points to make about it as well. Like, just make sure that this isn't distracting you from the other things you have to do and stuff like that. And they're all good points. But inside me, the only thing I was saying was, it's going to make me a better person. I am going to be a better person. I know I've more in me to be a better person. And like, what that looks like to me is better father, better partner, better...
It's to be more organized and all this kind
everything.
Of yeah.
Everyone around me will benefit. It's not an ego thing. Everyone around me will benefit, and I will benefit from me being a better person. And I know it's in me, and I know I'm not doing the things I need. But
you know what? It's so true, because at the last episode that we did on this, like I was saying about how awful it is in life and the responsibilities on us. And I think what this does, this makes us take the responsibility, and we know that we want to.
Yeah.
Like, we really do want to.
Yeah.
But doing it is fucking awful, and it's really difficult. So that's why we're doing this, is that it makes us take more responsibility, and we are better operating. We're better for everyone, like I said, as a result. It just makes it a little bit easier, because you know what the step is. You still got to do it.
And that brings us back to the whole knowing what the journey, having the map.
Yeah.
Even the destination, not even the map, because you don't have the map. But, that's where I'm going. Right, fuck, now I can go, because I know where, as opposed to, like, when I was sitting here that day and we were having that chat, that's not me, like. That's not what I can be. I was like, there's so many things. Which one do I pick? What do I do? 75 hard, super defined.
And to be say that on that episode, because I remember saying it to you anyway at some stage, being like, I just didn't like the way I was living or feeling. It was an awful way to live.
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't even about being successful or whatever. It's just like, I don't feel great day to day.
Yeah.
I've got to make a fucking change.
Yeah.
And I genuinely feel better now. So keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I know there's more. And
that's a big lesson. And again, it's something I do say a lot, but it's not anybody else's fault. I will take responsibility. It's hard and it's awful. I will take responsibility. I'll do it. And it's fucking awful. And it's difficult and it's scary and all that kind of stuff. but I'll do it. And then when you do it, you're like, oh, not that felt really good, but now I feel a little bit more control over the mad fucking ship that I'm trying to steer here, and that's powerful to me.
Yeah, because it just as you were talking there, it reminded me of that quote that I saw a few weeks ago. Because when it comes to our health, we all know what we should do. And then there's this quote was saying, "You say you would die for your kids or for your family.
Would you live for them?
I know. Are you willing to be healthy for your family?"
Yeah.
So like it's the same kind of like idea. It's like if you're not healthy and you're not around, or you can't physically look after your kids, or again do what you want to do with them, yet you're not doing the things like training and eating well and sleeping and look after your lifestyle, your stress management, your mindset, but you're saying you die for them. Well, then why don't you do this? Because again, it's really difficult. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
Like I want to do it. So that's what having you there, having this challenge here has allowed me to do up to this point. But as you said, there's so much more we can do. So let's continue on this path. And I think it's only going to get harder. But the alternative was before we did 75 hard. And I hated that.
Yeah.
I hated feeling that way. Jesus Christ.
It's
man.
awful, isn't it?
It's honestly, it's like, it's horrific. And it's not that we won't ever feel that way again, but at least we're stepping forward into life, you know? Like you're not fucking afraid of it,
Yeah.
you know?
That's the point though. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what the outcome is. It's you need to know where you're trying to get to. But if you never get there, it doesn't really matter. If every day you're working to get closer to something that you want, i.e., being a better person or dealing with this internal angst. If you are able to work on that every day because you've built a system that you can do every single day, that's it. That's the secret. You might die never getting there. It doesn't fucking matter. And these are all the cliches, but you realize it when, like, because we're really trying to go deep on this. We do this all the time. And that's why this podcast mightn't sound great to a listener.
No.
But this is very helpful for me and hopefully very helpful for you because we do this all the time. We're like, there's moments when we're talking where we just stop and we're like thinking so hard how like, I want to go deeper on this. I don't want to ignore this. We never pick up our phones and we're talking to each other. We're never being distracted by anything else to the point where our missus are like, where the fuck are you? Because we're 2 hours over.
3 hours past.
We're up in the mountains and it's like 6 once we're home 3 hours ago. But it's because we're trying so hard to like answer these questions for ourselves. And so it's really helpful to have someone else going through this. And that's the point, I think. If we're like you said, you felt really good after the podcast, despite the 3 people who might listen to this, we're going to feel, hopefully, I feel good already, giving myself the space to try and answer these questions. What did I learn from it? What can I do going forward? Because I struggle to do it by myself. You're much better doing it by yourself. You're talking today about like you see quotes and you maybe meditate on them or write on them a bit. I've completely stopped doing that. I've completely stopped, and I was good at it for a while. So that's something else I need to get back onto.
But what is interesting though is that our relationship, obviously, as I say, has developed and whatever. But even the conversations we're having, they're a bit more real.
They're
like
a lot closer.
You feel like
to,
shit. I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Or what are you doing? I'm struggling with this. Or what do you think about this? They're just less airy fair. And not that they ever were. They were always quite deep anyway. But it's just like, because we're kind of cutting through the bullshit.
Yeah.
And we're like not afraid to be like a bit vulnerable, being like, look, man, this is fucking awful.
I don't
know
really have
what's
any
going on.
time for that bullshit anymore because it's like,
Well, I'm sick of my bullshit.
that's it. I'm sick of it. Like when I say it, I feel even worse. And I know if I say something to you that's not particularly true, I feel worse.
Because we're only lying to ourselves. But that's what, again, this we have been able to develop a relationship that I'm able to be as honest with you as I'm trying to be with myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the only other person really would probably be Danielle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't
yeah.
fucking tell anyone else my fucking dark secrets.
Yeah.
But at least with you I can. But then it's a bit more real with you because you're a man struggling like I am. Danielle isn't a man struggling like I am.
Yeah.
She has different struggles and different things that I help her with and she is able to work through. But you literally are just like an idiot like me, a man like me who's doing similar things to me. So if I can just be open and honest with you, you can say something. I go, fucking hell, man, no way. And you're like, yeah. And I can, you know, it can just develop into something that we don't even know what it is.
100%.
But I think that's what, honestly, I think we were searching for that though, as much as anything else.
Oh, this is the point I was making about other men coming up to me. I think we're all looking for. And again, women as well. It's different. I don't understand the female struggle. I understand some of it, but not all of it.
I understand my struggle. Which
I
is
know
me.
my struggle,
yeah,
and I see that struggle in
ours
you.
Is very exact same
but I
struggle.
see it in other people as well. I see it, and this is one of the things when you start exploring the world of like psychedelics and stuff like that too. You get a really deep immersion in this. Like you see mirrors of yourself and other people. We are just mirrors of each other. It's a lot of it's the same thing. It's existential. It's fucking angst. It's deep inside you. It's purpose. It's intent or identity. It's the same. it's manifested in different ways in different people, but it's the same principles, which is why we keep defaulting back to people like Jordan Peterson, who is explaining to numbnuts like me what these principles actually mean and how they've been around for a long, long time and how they're linked in with all of our different stories that we tell and all the history behind all these different things. And that's very helpful for me because I can identify bits of myself based off what other people tell me. I remember loads of people coming through this podcast, Dara Stewart and Pat Divilly and all these different people saying things, and I'm like, they've put words on the way I feel. That's really interesting. And now I understand why all those men's circles and those women's circles are so powerful and why people are being drawn down to the beach. And because everyone is, do you know this? Do you feel like this? I feel like this. Oh my God, you feel like this too. What can we do? You try this, I'll try this too. And like we did it with 75 Hard. There's all these different ways.
But that's interesting. You're saying there about men, because we've used this, the 75 Hard challenge, and potentially what we would have done in the past would just use alcohol or something instead. Me and you, let's go and get pissed, and now we'll tell you how we really feel. Whereas we're able to actually be fucking open and honest and vulnerable by just doing a challenge like this. You know, we don't necessarily need something else, i.e. alcohol, to actually allow me to speak freely.
Well, let me reframe that. We do need something. We needed the challenge.
Yeah.
So like and this is one thing I'm kind of, I think about a lot, alcohol and drugs and all that kind of stuff. It's all the same thing. It's all people searching for something, and it could be running from something or running to something, or like self-medicating with exercise, or self-medicate. It's a form of distraction or something. So like I have no judgment on people who drink their problems away, because I get it. I get that pain in my own way. And I really want to go in there and figure out what the fuck it is. But I could very easily tomorrow wake up and grab the bottle. Like, no, I never have. But I don't think that's a million miles away from me. It's not I'm not better than anybody who goes to drink or goes to drugs or goes to
was it
like
that podcast that we talked about when I heard before, like, pick your addiction?
It's 100%. Because that's the quote I'm trying to refer to. Yeah.
All right.
Pick your addiction. Yeah, 100%.
So we're able to pick, say, exercise or a more empowering addiction rather than the likes of alcohol. Again, psychedelics are drugs, but they're ways that you can actually begin to learn about yourself. You could do them in a proper state, as opposed to with the lads on a Friday night getting pissed drunk in the.
Here's my theory. Just came to me as you were speaking there. I would propose to you that I'm addicted, not to social media, but to self-help, to books and podcasts, and like everyone I follow on Instagram, people like they're all like self-help gurus or business people. I'm addicted to the stuff because I think this is going to make my problem go away. This is going to make me feel better. This is going to make my business successful. This is going to stop me feeling like a dickhead. But it's the same thing. That's my addiction at the moment. And this is what we were saying earlier on. You said it in the podcast, and we said it earlier on as well. Saying no is a big thing for me now. I'm going to have to say no more to a lot of different things because they're distractions for me. And I want to say yes to everything because they stop me feeling. So if I do more of these things, I'll feel better. It's the same as if I drink more pints, I won't feel this way anymore. Or I'll feel good.
That's it. You're saying there about the self-help stuff. Naval talks about that being productive procrastination. You think you're doing something really good, but all we do is just consume the motivational stuff, the whatever fucking, I don't know what else, whatever stuff it is, but it's like, it's just the doingness that we need to do. And then again, go back to 75 Hard. It's so simple. Yeah. Like, we're not even trying to learn from what we're doing. We're just doing.
You don't even know why you're doing
exactly.
This.
And as a result, you're able to do it. But we all struggle. We're all addicted to our phones. We're all addicted to something. And if we don't put these things in place, it's going to be very hard to take responsibility because we're fucking spiraling, or we're confused. We don't have the clarity. We can't have the conversations. And we saw ourselves before this challenge that we could go down a fucking bad path and we could pull the whole fucking world around us down if we don't take that responsibility by doing something like this. And we've got to this level. But again, it's not about just getting here. It's about, well, what? Come on, keep going.
I actually had a conversation last week with Michael Miller. Shout out to Michael if he's listening here. But he said something really interesting to me. I don't know if he quoting it, was it his own thing, but he was like, I'm going to butcher this, I can't remember, but we were talking about enlightenment and being enlightened. And he's like, every day you need another enlightenment. You're never enlightened. You have to be enlightened every day. So you have to come to this realization every day. You have to work on it constantly every single day. So I think that's what I'm trying to, when I say I want to build something, build a lifestyle, I'm very aware that, because we just proved that as soon as we stopped 75 Hard and took away the structure and accountability, it felt shite. Absolutely. Now, in relative terms.
But also, that's interesting because that was so intense. And this is obviously a great analogy for what we do when it comes to your diet or exercise. If you try and do something that's so restrictive or so defined that it stops you doing other areas of your life, you're going to find it very hard to continue that. Again, we weren't trying to continue 75 Hard. We were doing it for this reason, but now, like I said, we have to redefine what we're doing so we can make it a lot more realistic.
So that's what I'm saying. Now we can leverage the information we consumed mindlessly about habits, and we can put that together with something we've just learned, which is what you've just said there, is that that's not sustainable forever. It's not even a good idea to train twice a day. we can put them together, though. We can learn the bits that we need to learn and build that lifestyle, build that structure. But we also are very aware it's not enough just to say that.
No.
Well, for me and you anyway, at this particular point in our lives, we need the accountability. So we're going to put that in place.
I think, though, again, that's why new levels, new devils. Like, as we move on to this, as we keep going with this, and imagine like having an episode in a year's time, and we continue.
Nobody's going to listen after this one.
Yeah, too fucking right. But imagine in a year's time you keep on this path, and where you could be mentally, physically in your life, just taking on more responsibility and doing the things you know deep down you want to do, but even that you should be doing.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to get to, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a shitty podcast.
Fuck
we
it,
went
man.
off. We were trying to define what we're going to do next.
I say this to everybody, right? There's no such thing as a bad podcast.
Well, you'll know if no one listens to this. It's obviously a terrible podcast.
How have I taught you fucking nothing, man? It doesn't matter who listens to the podcast. Did you have a good time?
I did. Thank you, sir.
I have a good time. Okay, well, we're not finished because I just want to try and tie this up in a little bit of a knot or a little bit of a bow for people. So overall, 75 hard for you, a positive experience.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like I said, a few people have reached out to me about it and stuff. So, like, if you're thinking about doing it, number one, I would say I think you should do it, because that's what I did. I was thinking about doing it, and then I ended up doing it. So I think you definitely should. The game changer for me was you having the accountability. If you can get someone to do it with you, and you got to text them and let them know I've done my 2 sessions, I've drank my water, it puts that person under pressure and makes you obviously be held to account. And I just think you're gonna do it. Well, your chance of doing it is certainly much, much higher. So if you're going to do it, try and get someone to do it with you to hold you to account. But it was honestly, like, looking back on it now, I'm delighted we done it. And I want this to be the start of something that changes. What about you?
Yeah, no, I would absolutely echo that. I would throw in a little caveat there to say it doesn't have to be 75 hard. If you've listened to this podcast, if you're here, you have listened to this podcast, it's the structure and accountability that's important. So like you said, if you have someone to do it with you, it doesn't, because I said our friend reached out and said he was doing, I think it was 40 days, and he'd one workout a day, a certain amount of water, reading a book. It just has to be something to get you started. And if you want to go down the road of looking at the habits kind of stuff, if you don't have someone who's going to keep you accountable, if you're struggling to do the 75 hard thing, like, make it manageable, but make it really defined. Really defined. What is it? And that's what you do every day. So you don't have to think about it. And you don't give yourself the wiggle room to get out of it. Because 75 hard, like, obviously, if you want to get really disclaimery about it, like, if you're working out twice a day, you might cause yourself an injury. If you're starting from zero, you can do this. And I know, what's his name? Fernella?
Yeah, Andy Frisella, yeah.
Yeah, he's big on, like, it doesn't matter if you're fucking 400 pounds, get off the couch, do 75 hard. You can absolutely do that. And again, I do subscribe to the school of you can do it and you want. Like, you can go out and work
you
out.
wouldn't be recommending that. That's it. Yeah, that's like, well, that's it going from
it's
zero
not my
to
place
100.
to recommend or not recommend.
Well, it is, because you have enough knowledge to know that that's not the best way to progress and adapt to a stimulus that you've never done before.
No, but I'm also aware that's not the point. The point is...
No, but that's grand, but you don't want to injure yourself.
No. Oh, look,
and you can't do it.
Don't injure yourself is all I'm saying here, but don't be a pussy about it as well. That's kind of what I'm trying to say.
Well, there is the 75 hard. The 75 soft.
Yeah.
75 soft is 6 days a week with 1 day off, with everything else remaining the same.
Yeah.
But I think what's really important as well with these kind of challenges and all, like, we changed it around. Never be afraid to change it to suit you. It's not necessarily, like I said, about the challenge as much as it is about you doing that consistently. Yeah. You being held to account, and ultimately then, come to 75 days, have you done it?
But define it at the start. Because to be fair to us, we did change it, and it was a significant enough change, but we changed it before day one.
Yeah,
and we did exactly what we said we were going to do. So I don't have any problems with that whatsoever. I like, whatever, we call it 75 soft or medium if you want it, but we decided this is what we're going to do and do it. So that, if you take one thing from what we've said in this entire podcast, that definition and structure is massively important. So I think that's a very, very good point.
Because then what about now? Like, obviously, off podcast, we'll define what we're going to do, but are we going to hold ourselves to account to come back on again in 2 or 3 months' time?
We'll try and make it a little bit more concise.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. But I think, but that's the difference, though, that we're not clear about what we're doing. And that's why we rambled on and talked shite. Like.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's not good for us, which is good for us now to realise that, but we weren't that sure before this podcast.
No.
So we are now.
Not at all. Yeah.
So are we starting this Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we're going to do, why are we doing 60 days? Why are we just going like 75 or 90? Why are we choosing 60?
It's just 2 months.
Okay.
75 is just a random number.
Right.
So that was really long. 75 days is long, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I didn't think it was that long.
Yeah, it's 75 days.
Yeah, fucking right. Yeah. But it felt a lot long. In your head, you're like, 75 days not that long.
Yeah.
It's 2.5 months.
No, it is. But that's what I think was the beauty of it, that it's a significant enough time to really make an impact of that principle stuff that you can begin to implement and kind of take with you into something else.
Sorry, the reason I was saying 60 was because 60 days, I feel, and you can correct me on this, we can change this if you want, I'll update people if we change it. 60 days is long enough for us to, it's difficult, it's not like a month, but it also means that after 60 days, I want to review this, I want to change if we need to change.
When is this podcast going now?
Tuesday.
All right, because we can just start. We're going to start on that day. So if you want to join the challenge of 60 days, they can start now. Any challenge you want to.
Yeah.
They go 60
days.
days.
Okay. Let's put this out there now. We'll put it out on the Instagrams as well.
Okay.
And you're being a LinkedIner now, aren't you? And I'm being a Twitterer as well.
Do we have to define what we're doing, or are they going to like copy what we're doing, or do
No,
their own
don't
thing?
copy what we're doing.
Okay.
Straight away, don't copy what we're doing.
Do
'cause
your own thing.
We're going to design it specifically for our lives.
Okay.
This is the power that we have here. We can learn the lessons and design it for our lives. But if you want to join, we're going to start. Are we starting on Tuesday or Monday?
We'll start on Monday. We're putting this out on Tuesday.
I'm putting this out on Tuesday. Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
no one will hear it before then, obviously.
Yeah.
So we're going to start on Monday. We're going to do 60 days. If you want to join, we'll put up updates and stuff like that. We'll actually jump on the Instagrams and stuff regularly enough and do updates.
Yeah.
We'll do a podcast at the end because I don't want to do any more of these fucking ramblers.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll
No, but that's good. Let's start giving out what we're doing. Let's keep ourselves accountable. Let's get
100%.
other people involved in this kind of
absolutely.
thing, because this isn't like a 75 hard challenge. It is ideally a way of kind of changing your mindset, your life, and kind of stepping forward into.
And jeez, now I'm really fucking, because I was thinking about this. I've been planning this for a long time, and I don't know if I've actually said it to you before, but I'm going to say it now on the podcast. What we will do is at least one and potentially two. We're going to do, well, I'll host it. You don't have to be there if you don't want to, but we're going to do, you remember the sessions we did outside, the strongman session?
Yeah.
I'm going to do an open session. And if someone wants to come
Yeah, deadly.
and train, we'll set it up in a way that I know how many people are coming on the day, because we don't want, if too many people come, we want to make sure I have equipment and stuff like that. But essentially, we're going to do a 45-minute to an hour outdoor session.
Yeah, great.
It's going to be more of a kind of a primal strongman kind of session. I'll see, we might get a couple of people involved.
I think it's brilliant. Yeah. Class.
We'll do at least one, but two over those 60 days. And if it works, if it's successful, if people enjoy it, if it helps people be accountable, I'm going to make this a thing. It's going to be, it's part of my plan anyway, but I'm going to make this a thing.
And sorry, we haven't, the last one was called 75 Hard. What's this challenge going to be called?
Have you a suggestion?
No, but you have to come up with a name. Fucking Prymal, the Prymal Challenge or something like.
You haven't called it the Primal Challenge?
Cool, the Prymal Challenge, that's what it is.
The
So
Primal Challenge?
We're going to go with the Prymal Challenge for 60 days, and let's start talking about it. And anyone interested with questions or whatever, give us a shout and let us know. We're not here to tell you exactly what to do, but we are here to hold you to account and kind of ideally encourage you, inspire you to continue on the path that we want to keep going forever.
Exactly. Okay, so here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
I'm wrapping this up. We'll be done in 3 minutes, people. Me and you are going to have our 60 days defined by Monday, our Primal Challenge. And this is going to be an ongoing thing. We're going to do at least one, but potentially two open workouts. If you want to come along, we'll decide what we're going to do, and we can all train together. We are going to do on Monday, we'll put something out for people to notify them of this, because this podcast is going out on Tuesday, but we'll start on Monday. We'll let you know what we're doing and how we're doing it. And if you want to follow along, you can. This podcast, if you're listening to it, will have been out on Tuesday, so we'll have already started. We'll be in our challenge already.
And even if you want to let us know you're starting, give us a, so we can keep you accountable. You could get maybe something going, email list.
Yeah, we might
Facebook
get
group.
our email list, might get a little WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
I fucking hate WhatsApp groups. Might do something on Facebook or something like that. But we'll build a little community around this if you're interested, if you want to come along. And if you think we're full of shit, please.
Yeah,
please,
just ignore.
Just ignore
If
us.
you've gone for this far and we're full of shit, Jesus Christ.
If
what
you're
the
here
heck-
now.
Why have you listened this far?
100%. But that's what we're going to do. That sound good
No,
to you?
I like that, because it holds us to a higher standard.
Yeah.
It's like, so forget everything else. Like, if we're going to actually genuinely do this, kind of step forward into it, let's continue on this path. And if we go for this 60 days, there's still plenty more life left in this year, never mind 2023.
100%. Yeah. Like I said, I want to get to the end of the 60 days with applicable tools for the next 90 or 120 or whatever, the rest of my life. I want this stuff to be practical, not just a weight loss challenge.
The Primal Challenge, I love it.
The Primal Challenge, right? Cool. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Mr. O'Loughlin, I'm sure I forgot loads of things I meant to ask you about that
Yeah.
challenge, but you know what? Fuck it. If you've gotten to the end of this podcast, fair play to you. Thank you very much for listening. Brian, thank you as always for coming on. What are you doing now?
I am going to run later on.
Are you going to run?
Yeah, I'm going to run. I'm back in. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm ready for Monday. Ready.
Good, man. Okay. I am ready for Monday as well. I've got a big game tomorrow, revisiting the scene of the crime. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to playing a bit
Day
of
off Sunday, start Monday.
Planning day Sunday, start Monday.
Let's rock and roll.
Let's rock and roll, baby.
Primal Challenge.
Boom. Love
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you, listener, for coming in. Jeez, that was mental. Thanks for getting
Stop
this far.
talking. It's over.
Yeah, fine. Done. Cut. There's no one here. It's just me.